We good?
Welcome to the Zachrilege cast, Jen and Shea. We got for Wrath. I was trying to get the complete set, although I don't think I have all of the hosts, but we're getting close. How are you doing tonight?
Whoa.
And now I'm hearing some echo. This is good audio right here. You did you hear me? Are we good?
Yes, we did. We had a little bit of an echo there, and it's all right because we have number one tech man here. And I mean, you've had the first two, and now you have the best two.
Yeah,
so,
better than all the rest.
Yeah. So you win. You got it. Waiting for us here.
Yeah, Steve and Aaron, episode 13. So I will include that in the show notes. It's kind of crazy to think like I was on episode 13, you're on episode 23, now you're on episode 208, and this is 167 for me.
Holy cow.
I'm a little behind. I guess having a room and having like 4 or 5 rotating hosts means you're a little more regular. Because if I can't show up, well, you know.
We haven't missed 1 week since
I was the editor?
February of 2014.
I think that's when I was the editor.
I think you're lying. Wrong. Yeah. Nope. It's been that long.
At least we know who to blame. So I have a few out of context quotes. So this is from the first interview. When you have us on, you're not going to talk much, which was true. There was a little bit of over talk. I'm just repeating what was posted online. We've never not said that we're dumb.
Okay, still true.
And I think this is just part of what Shea said on the last episode, fetus deletus.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
That was something Shea said.
I say lots of things that I shouldn't.
So, Shea, back me up on this. If you were quoting the first time that you recorded with those other two, they never mentioned me the entire time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's dead to me what they did.
Oof.
It's been a big running joke with us that they were on your show and never talked about me.
It's a joke? I thought all that vitriol and anger you threw was honest.
Well, you were the one who brought it up more than anyone else, actually. So
because I always am the one that does something wrong, and this time it wasn't my fault.
Well, and he's my white knight.
Did I mention that Jen's on the show?
Yeah. So
correct.
So I can't address the first few quotes, but except that we have never said we're not dumb. That is also very true.
And we have Aaron made me snuffle up against my beer all over the computer screen.
That was me too. Yeah, I said that.
That sounds like something you'd say, Jen.
I did say it.
Yeah, because it sounds like something you would.
I did. Okay. It was something during my Halloween story.
My God, your memory is just too scary good.
Because it was Halloween. It was terrifying.
That means that I can't mess up in front of you. Otherwise, you won't forget it.
Yeah, tune into our last episode, the Halloween one, where I had told a story about a man who brought a gal he was obsessed with home to his bed after she'd been dead for 9 years.
Yeah, that whole Count story was pretty rough. Yeah, you really need to get the whole thing to get the feel for it.
Yeah, Baron Doctor.
It's gross. Count Doctor.
Count Doctor.
And speaking of, okay, so this is the last one. Have you ever fisted a jar of mayonnaise?
That was Aaron.
That's an Aaron quote. That's totally an Aaron quote.
And that made me flip the table.
Really?
No.
It's kind of big.
The only reason she didn't flip it is because I made it, and it's very heavy.
I mean, you flip the table, you might injure the beer, and I feel like it's a crime in Wyoming.
No,
we've worked really hard on this nice background. Somehow I think something would have broken back there.
Yeah, actually, you get to see us in our brand new studio. We've only been here for, 3 recordings now? 2 recordings now.
It's 3.
Three.
It's been 3.
3.
It's been 2 with Steve, and 1 with just the 3 of us. Because I have the memory.
But yeah, we just moved to a new studio that has internal weather controls, or a thermostat, as most call it.
Or as we call it, walls.
Also walls. It is closed off from the outside. There's not a giant garage door that opens. And Aaron got to use his wonderful art degree, and we actually have an amazing amount of beautiful swag.
Yes.
I see that. That's good stuff.
Hey,
you
Aaron.
need to get. If you haven't gotten it yet, Secular Soup needs to get you like a soup bowl because that's the thing.
Yeah. There's a Secular Soup bowl? No, I've never even. I have no idea.
Show Secular Soup. They sent me one.
Oh, that's an amazing bowl.
And that's our saying includes slurp even this. So there you go.
That. I do like that. How much beer will that bowl hold? And
you know, I've not actually put beer in there, although I probably should, because I feel like it could probably get like a bomber amount in there, because it's large. In it. But wow, yeah, I know. Bring it to me slowly.
Well, I'm like, it has a handle, so you don't even have to tell people it's a bowl. It still quantifies as a cup.
We made our
the bottom.
Of course, bring us beer.
Upside down penis. Sorry. For everybody else, if you're listening to this, you're missing out. You're not missing out, but you're missing out.
It reminds me of a story we just talked about.
It's all of our stories.
There's spoiler alerts on that one. Well, now I kind of had, the first episode, but that was episode 13. Nobody's going to look that up. So what got this show started? I feel like Shea was in there at the beginning. I'm not sure when Jen got involved. So could you talk about the kind of Waiting for Wrath origin story?
Do you want me to take this, or do you want to tell it?
How about we do it? How about we let me say it?
I like the plastic knife. She could get you. She could cut you with that thing.
Oh no, it's plastic.
It all started years ago when I met Erin at the premiere of The Expendables.
Yeah, many moons ago. Is that when you guys met?
Yeah, we met watching Expendables. Yes, we did.
Wow.
And then we went out to a bar and drank way too much.
Wow. I didn't know that little piece of magic.
It's true.
So yeah, Aaron is our fearless leader. He's the one who actually got everything kind of kicked off. And Shea was there because Shea's able to be talked into anything.
No, I hang out at Aaron's house a lot. He has income, which means he has food and beer in his fridge.
So Aaron was like, I am tired of talking about atheist stuff to people who don't want to hear about it. Shea, sit down. We're going to talk about it and drink beer.
And I said, let me grab this chicken out of your fridge real quick.
Okay. So actually, funny enough, I started on our show, I believe it was episode 13. So it's funny that we were talking about episode 13. Your episode 13 is different than ours because it's not the same show. But
correct, but not correct.
But I started on this show at episode 13 because I met them in a bar. And,
yeah. Best part of the story, I set up their meeting at this bar, and it all went according to my evil plan.
Right. So his plan was, unbeknownst to me, because it's a bar that was near where my husband and I lived, and I knew Shea. We knew Shea.
Yeah, I was working at the bar.
Yeah, he was a bartender, and we would chat and laugh. And unbeknownst to me, he was talking to these other two men about me, about how I'm hilarious and should totally be involved in their lives.
Those were the words I used.
But I did not know this. So one night, randomly, my husband and I are at the bar, and Shea brings them to the bar saying he's going to introduce them to me, but he didn't know I was going to be there.
I had this all planned out.
And he didn't actually do that.
And he didn't do that at all. My husband's a social butterfly, and I'm less so. So he was making friends around the bar, and I was just kind of sitting at the bar wondering what I wanted to do for the evening. And I was sitting next to Steve, and I could hear Steve and Aaron arguing with each other while Shea had passed out at the end.
I was fine.
You had your head in your arms.
It was just a pre-beer nap.
Okay, he was taking a nap at the end of the bar.
Nothing wrong with that.
I finally tapped Steve on the shoulder because they were arguing about Galactus. And you didn't have to. Aaron showed me a picture of Galactus like I didn't even know. It's like, I've been directing attention to you because
I like that we have Voice of God off camera, and Voice of God isn't beer, which is great.
But I was finally like, they're talking about, I don't know, Marvel stuff, and this one guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I literally tapped on Steve's shoulder, and I was like, hey, I'm going to join your conversation now. You're wrong. And hi.
I'm on your podcast now.
Well.
And that's how it ended.
3 hours later, they were like, we have a podcast. What do you do on Thursdays? So creepy, but it happened and it worked.
And I think that's about when I woke up. I got a high five for introducing them to Jen, and I take all the credit now.
We didn't know anything about the introduction until a year later. And he was like, oh yeah, I totally orchestrated that.
I did. You don't give me nearly enough credit for everything I do.
I guess it worked out.
Like the 50% of the time I wash the cups for the show.
So yeah, that's how it happened.
This is the hardest part of the show, is going, man, I really think we need this theoretical cul-de-sac where we all live in the same neighborhood so we can all go to the same bars together. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. It might be bad for our livers, but it'd be it'd be a lot of fun for a little while anyway.
Liver schmipper.
Well, we've been doing this for what, 4 years, and we're still having fun.
Yeah, I joined in February of 2014. So,
Yeah.
And it's enough that I can actually identify the Fat Tire can there in the background, but I don't know if I can get the rest. You have a lot of cans in there.
This is actually Fat Tire Belgian White. They've updated there.
Yep. And then I had a Voodoo Ranger, and then I had a half a Voodoo Ranger, and then I'm going to drink this Fat Tire, and then I'm going to see what's left in the fridge.
And I'm drinking an Upslope Citra Pale Ale.
Those are one of your favorites, aren't they, Jim?
They are. Absolutely. Yeah. Right now. I should.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Zach and I were talking earlier this week about how delicious some porters can be, like the Black Butte, like the Black Butte porter from Deschutes.
Oh, actually, that one is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Shea doesn't like porter.
I've had Deschutes. I mean, I was in Oregon and Seattle 7 years ago, and that's when I got introduced to it. But it was sad that I went to Asheville and I had the Black Butte, and I'm like, why isn't this in Atlanta? We're a big city, right? But you know, the thing about the weird beer community is there are things like Founders in Michigan is one of the beers I like. Everybody can get that, and not in Wyoming. So that's just the way it is. And I know the first time I think I was on, I tried to drink the beer that you were going to have on your next episode, but that wasn't what the other guys were drinking. It's hard to get your beers together. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Well, Wyoming has a lot of complications, but we have Colorado to get to. But yeah, if it's anything not in the Midwest, then it turns into well, do you have this? Have you heard of this? Okay, give me a picture of your liquor store, and we'll go down the aisle. So
we'll definitely get to hot beer talk, but I kind of wanted
isn't the hot beer talk
from the two of you. What is kind of your elevator pitch for what Waiting for Wrath is, what it was maybe when you started, and now that you've passed 200 episodes, and hopefully I'll survive that long, what is it like on the other side?
You go first, Shay.
Oh, you know what? You can let me go first. You beautiful, bodacious
bow tie.
Well, originally we got together, and very early when Aaron and I first started talking about even doing a podcast, it was radically different than anything we were thinking now. It was a group of us, and there was another guy involved, a friend of ours, who just never came to fruition. It kind of went kind of crazy, but we were all really into creating, and we were originally going to do a creative makers kind of talk about news, but we had a lot of weird ideas floating around.
This is news to me. Also, Zach, I'm interested.
Yeah. So it started off really weird, and eventually we
started off.
I feel like every podcast it started weird.
We boiled it down, and we realized that we were all we were skeptics, and so Aaron and I just started in the living room. And what did we call ourselves? We call ourselves the Funny Atheist Podcast was our original, not name, but that's what was our theme. Something. Yeah, it was our theme. We've been waiting for Wrath even when there was only two of us, and that really pissed off Aaron. I think it has something to do with his art degree, and that there was two of us, but the number 4 was in our name.
It worked out finally when there was 4 of us, but
yeah. I thought originally it was the Funny Atheist Podcast was kind of what we were going for.
That's a tall order, son.
I don't know. And then after that, we evolved relatively quickly once all 4 of us were in a room together. And we realized that we didn't like pigeonholing ourselves as specifically atheists and finding specifically atheist type stories. And realized we were more all secular and open and just, skeptics. And that's one of our first major evolutions, I guess I'd say. And that
Steve was a big next jump, I guess, for you guys.
Yeah, Steve joined the show.
I wasn't there for that.
Brought lots of. Steve went to school for audio and video editing and recording and all sorts of stuff like that. And he actually had a lot of equipment that he was able to bring to the table because he listened to a couple.
And he was around when audio visual first was introduced to the human society.
Well, I mean, his original kit.
Turn of the century?
His original kit, which you can actually see it in his house, it's a solo cup with a string attached to it. And that was actually how he originally broadcasted things way back when.
For anyone who doesn't listen to our show, Steve's the elder of our groups that we give him a lot of shit about being older. But he's not that much older.
But he drinks the Canadian whiskey that
Yes,
He
Aaron
does.
imports.
like water.
Except he's really skinny, so it's like
I know.
really
It's
alcoholic
weird, huh?
water.
Yeah. But I guess one of the biggest things, and like you said, elevator pitch, when people ask me, it doesn't come up in most of my normal conversations with my day-to-days that I'm in a podcast. I work in a very conservative town. Laramie's relatively conservative. And I work mainly with disabled people, especially mentally challenged people in town. So it doesn't come up all that often. But when people ask, I'm like, oh, well, we're a skeptic podcast you didn't know you were waiting for. We drink a lot of beer, we make fun of news, and we touch on sciencey subjects.
Delicately.
But you do, but I'm like a hand fist.
Okay. Mine was kind of wrapped in with my origin story with the show. And an interesting evolution that I found was as we got to know more people in other podcasting communities and a variety of people started listening to our show, we kind of moved away from the atheist label, because we actually have quite a few listeners who aren't atheist. They're science-minded and they're skeptical, but they aren't atheist. And I had a few actually say, I feel like you would get better listeners and not more interest, but the word atheist is, a firebrand, scary word, as anyone who's ever tried to be an atheist learned. So we try to couch it more in a humanist aspect, because we do have legitimately not anti-religion as itself, but we do have here's the stories of why religion is worse to us for our lifestyles and all that, like for me personally growing up as a Southern Baptist. But most of our topics don't actually touch on religion. It touches on things like science, like Shea said, and ridiculous parts of the news. We actually try to bring more light and humor into things than just, because anyone who's lived for the past 2 years on the earth understands, we could bash religion, we could bash politics, we could do all of that, but we try to give it a little bit more of a positive spin, a little bit more ridiculous of a spin. The beer helps.
Yes.
And so I think it's grown from that. I think in the beginning it was more trying to religion focus, and then as it's grown, it's trying to be more encompassing of like science and sex dolls.
That was today's show, by the way.
It goes together. It's nice to have things like, all right, people, you got to check this out. You have not checked this out yet. Well, what's kind of the usual show format? Because your shows, are not short.
No,
you have segments. You actually plan things. I just talk.
We
for a
do,
while.
weirdly enough.
We learned today that Aaron and Steve call it an ABCD show, right?
Right.
We have 4 specific segments.
But they're the editors.
They said 3, and then him and Steve argue that there was a 4th one.
Because Steve cannot not talk about the D.
Steve likes the D.
Of course.
Normally, so our show starts, we have an intro, and I tell a ridiculous lesson. Jen tells something that people want to learn. And
then we have a beer review, which is that's kind of our hook. We're the beer drinking, skeptical, atheist, whatever podcast. So, and that's what kind of sets the tone for the show. Some of them can be hilarious because we hate them, and it's funny when we hate them, because Aaron especially, there's only so many ways you can talk about a beer filtered through a hobo, but he's found them all.
yes.
And it's great. So
he has a very sophisticated palate when it comes to those tastes.
It's like this is when a hobo took a dump in an ashtray. So
and then they fermented it for a week, and this is what I'm drinking now.
And then we sometimes even like the beer, and that's fun too. We have headlines or hot shots, so they're kind of the same thing. It's just like little peeks at what's going on in the news.
Yeah, just little hits here it's not an 8-page article. It's more like look, we found 3 paragraphs that we're going to make fun of right now.
Yeah, I generally don't contribute there because I have an attention span longer than a gnat.
Yep, and most of it's toilet humor, at least in my case.
It is. And a lot of times with Shea, bless his heart, it's not even real.
Not a lot of times. It's only
even real.
It's happened more than any other host, but doesn't mean it's happened a lot. We've done 208 shows.
If you tune in and there's an alligator story, it's probably fake.
Oh my god! In fact, we have an alligator back here on our wall because someone needed to remind me
alligator.
that I should never do stories about alligators.
So we have that. We for our patrons, we have a patron, always an extra patron story. Sometimes they get an additional hotshot headline, whichever we're doing at the time. They get longer outtakes. They get more rambling because apparently they like it when we talk to each other like morons. But you know,
and then
it's like hanging out with us in the bar.
It
very much is.
And then we move on to our more serious, typically side of the show, our second half, which a predominant amount of time is actually Jen hosts, and she does quite a bit of research. And if you want to tell them about that.
Well, it's called reading the articles.
Yeah.
And not just the headlines.
Wow.
And I know.
And Jen has a huge joy for true crime.
She looked like, as soon as you said huge, she's like,
she's got
oh, what are you gonna say?
Yeah,
it's
huge.
Huge.
Put your hands out. You're just listening. You're missing out. Trust me.
Huge.
All right. So I usually tackle the second half, but not always. But I like to dive a little deeper into my topics, and it could be anything from science to creepy stories. For all of October, I've done somewhat paranormal bent with a skeptic look sort of thing. So you just never know. It's a catch as catch can.
I don't know. Some of my
stories.
Favorite episodes, honestly, have been our Halloween episodes. Where our first Halloween episode is still one of my all-time favorites, which Jen did a deep delve into the theory of what happened on Dyatlov Pass in Russia, which if you know nothing about, look it up. It's fucking creepy. We all have different theories. Steve's more outlandish than anyone else is.
Steve is sure someone was just shooting people from a grassy knoll.
But we get to delve into some. Oftentimes we'll have more serious discussions. If I'm lucky and have time, I throw together a really, really stupid quiz that we all take.
We do quizzes also. Yeah, that's another thing. I did an Alex Jones quiz not too long ago.
Yep, I did one of my
particularly proud of.
It was great. The voices you did were just
well, it was
incredible.
just a voice. I did an Alex Jones impression.
It wasn't good.
So, yeah.
Well, it was so good.
Do we have perhaps for the audience a little taste of that?
Can you do it, Jen?
Ooh. Oh, you want me to do it right now? Well, let's see.
The latest Alex Jones I saw was him yelling at like poop on the sidewalk. I don't remember when that was.
I can't really begin to talk about it because the midterm elections are starting. And Hillary is already saying she's going to be the next president. I think Obama.
Just Obama. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, so I read some of his quotes, and yeah.
But the next day you didn't have a voice.
Well, his quotes, they're even crazier than you think. They really are.
Yeah. Totally. But the beer. So we have to have like a serious beer discussion because I feel like we're on the opposite sides of beer. Although I feel like Shea would drink beer out of a guy's shoe. But
that is a specific style. Actually, that's called
Das German.
Das German Boot.
I actually have a beer boot in my closet. I have not opened it in a while because it's a lot. It's a very large boot.
Oh, to get initiated into our friendship, you have to drink a boot. And I think the boot Aaron got me holds about 4 beers.
That could be a Patreon bonus.
5 beers.
And also
put in there, but yeah.
Yes. So we Shea and I have relatively similar palates, but Zach, you and the two of us do not.
Yeah, I don't think you even match up with anyone.
He just really likes
the show.
He likes bourbon aged. He likes.
Well, here's the thing that confuses me a bit because I had Andy on and she like drove like beer muled Sunday morning stout to you, and I feel like only like half of the show actually would enjoy that style of beer because that's a barrel aged coffee.
Are you talking about
style.
Felicia?
Andy.
Andy. Did Andy give us the Sunday morning? Anyway,
Oh, that was her. That's right.
yeah.
Yes, Felicia got us was talking about a Bigfoot thing. You're right. I didn't when you said Andy.
It's nice
I heard
like
Avalon.
fans that just bring you beer. It's great.
Oh my God, that was something we never expected, and we just bow down and are so gracious for anyone that even
They
thinks
mail
about
us
it.
shit. This is my name on a
Like,
mug.
I mean,
Someone made it. Like
it's incredible. And to speak on the Sunday morning stout, I was surprised that I liked that one. Like, but a lot of these, that's the one problem with the really dark things, is I think I can speak for a majority of us.
Things.
Well, the dark beers.
That's a
it was also
that
like
could be trouble
17%.
for you.
Yeah, the alcohol content makes them a little harder to drink. None of us, other than Aaron, who likes to drink maple syrup straight, have much of a sweet tooth. And a lot of times we like the beers, and splitting one bottle or one can between four of us is perfect.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, that's like the first 30 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, yes. I feel like you shouldn't have to struggle through a beer too.
but sometimes it's really fun when we do. I don't know. Some of my favorite beer segments are when they've just been god awful.
Oh, I love awful beers.
Like when I brought the Beast in.
Oh, we need a supercut of just shit beers.
Yeah, we might do that for the 300th episode.
Now, what is the beer that you had for your latest episode? Because I heard about it.
Oh,
and
the Mojito.
I'm intrigued because this is a style I've only had maybe once or twice.
Okay, there's the bottle.
Oh, Mojito?
Mojito.
Mojito.
Yes, it's like a mojito with a mead. And it sounds a lot worse than it actually turned out.
Oh my gosh, I was excited for this one, and I was
Ugh.
left impressed even more. You just
No.
full of hate.
It's disgust is a little bit different than hate, but sure. No, I was expecting some sort of thick, syrupy, sweet toothpaste.
Which we have a meadery here in town that has a bit of a thicker.
Yeah, it's called Robitussin.
Yeah, they have a really thick meads.
But it actually it's light, it's fresh, it's got some it's sweet because it's a mead, but not overwhelming. Kind of, I don't know, light and refreshing.
Yeah, just
almost.
very effervescent. If you didn't know it was alcohol, you wouldn't assume. And Steve likened it to Sprite with the sprig of mint.
Yeah, and that's pretty fair.
That's close.
I hate mint. Mint is what happens when you someone hates you and they put toothpaste in your food. But in this case, it's not super strong, so I was able to drink it. But yeah, no, Zach, I really was thinking I was going to have to find a way to not come tonight. But then I remembered that, we were doing this. So I was like, well, I have to drink the fucking Mojito.
I like
sacrifice for the team.
I did, but it was not nearly as bad as I was afraid of. And Shea loved it.
I liked it a lot. I gave it a 9 on our 10-point scale. Just
Impressive.
So the sweet guy who sent it to us has sent us some really good stuff over time, and I think he's hoping that we get a 6er or something next time.
I would love a 6er of that. And we do have fans who have consistently sent us really good beer, and then we have at least one fan who consistently, I'm pretty sure, looks for beer that'll kill us.
Yeah, he hates us.
Because
Yeah.
I think he likes the bad reviews too.
Right.
Yeah, the beer shipping thing, it's really expensive, and I think it's technically illegal, so it's tough to do.
It depends on the state.
I have a friend in Chicago who sent me the the Bourbon County Stout, the rare version, the only version they only sell in Illinois.
Oh wow!
And so I have that, and I'm saving that. But other than that, I'm pretty much going through my stash right now, trying to get it down the double digits, which is tough.
Wait, double digit ABV or double digits beers in your fridge?
Total number, yeah. I got under 100, which was what? Yeah.
Oh wow!
Exactly.
Well, people have wine cellars. Zach, make a beer cellar. Come on.
I have many in my house. It's ridiculous. I used to keep them all in my fridge, and that was a problem. Then all right, I'll put them in my closet, which is right there. And then I'm well, there's another closet downstairs. So yeah, I have two beer closets. That's
nice.
That's not many. And I have a wine fridge, which is a beer fridge.
Yes.
What happens if you fall and can't
Because
get
the
up?
only wines I like red wine, and I'm you don't put that in the fridge. So yeah, there's nothing to deal with. So is there? Let's see. What would be tougher for you? The best God of the week you've had in your show, or the best beer of the week?
God of the week, we don't really talk about that. We mention the gods just in our opener just because it's funny and there's so fucking many of them that it's easy.
And if they were actually real and did shit, then maybe that would be more fun. But the beers are actually real, so we get reactions from those. So yeah, the beer is for sure the more exciting and
I think
interactive.
Do you have a favorite beer that you've had on the show?
A favorite beer.
Yeah.
No, I sure do have a worse beer.
Oh, what's the worst?
The Beast. I brought it. My fault. I did it to us, and that's been the worst thing I've ever experienced beer-wise.
Which, for your listeners who might not know, The Beast was a series that Avery Brewing put out, and they put out 3 different beers all over, were they 15%?
I think this one was 16.5.
Yeah, they were all over 15%. I think The Beast had the highest ABV at 16 point something.
I don't know. It was just brewed in hell.
And because we didn't know, I think this was relatively early in our podcasting career too.
Our career.
Well, we're in a career now. We've done it for 4 years.
No, I'm going to say it was probably around 30.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So we didn't know how to approach a beer with that ABV. And all of us just quaffed it like a regular beer. And then we all wanted to die.
It was terrible.
It was so bad.
It was just the worst tasting. I think the one that got the worst response was
Ghostface Killa?
Right around there. Like either the one after or the one before. And was Ghostface Killa, which had ghost peppers in it. And nearly killed Aaron.
Oh, that was one of the most fun ones to listen to, though, because you could just hear Aaron just in the corner gurgling and dying.
We also didn't have really good audio equipment at that point. You could hear every gurgle, for sure.
Yes.
So those are probably
good equipment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the 2 worst were really early on, but yeah, as it's gone,
nothing's been as bad as the Beast and Hot Ghostface.
The vanilla Snowdrift Porter from Leinenkugels.
Oh, that one was pretty vile
for me because, it was like the worst possible cough syrup you can imagine.
And the flavors were so artificial.
But cold, I guess, is the only difference. So
it's really tough with beer when the flavors are off, because I mean, it's weird. Like every beer state rule is strange, and I can get beers in Tennessee that have higher ABV than in Georgia. So I have one from Avery called Planked, and it's like a rum barrel coconut porter, and I'm like, it's like 18%.
Why would someone do that?
Oh my, 18. Avery loves to play with the high ones.
I'm excited. I mean, I have Worldwide Stout, which is from Dogfish Head, and that's 18%. I have like 3 of those.
Shit.
So yeah, I know. It's like, the beer ahead today was like 12 and 18. Yeah, that's high.
Have you heard of the End of the World beer?
No.
Is that one that's crossed your radar? That one is one that I looked for that one time I went to Scotland. It's actually, there's a Scottish brewery that does it. And it is, oh my gosh, if I can remember correctly, it's in the 20s.
Well, Shea, I think it was episode 37, took over the entire show, and it was everything is sensational if you're looking for it.
Sounds right.
And at one point, it was a beer quiz, and he talked about the snake bite.
Oh yes, snake bite. That was another one.
Which was, I believe it was from Scotland, and it had an ABV that was just goddamn ridiculous. It was like 74 or something. I mean, I don't know exactly.
Yes.
It was something that you didn't even think was possible. But I recommend just listening to that one because you get to hear Shea's foray into investigative journalism.
Oh yeah. Now the end of the world beer is one of my favorites and one that I really search out and want. Because the bottle is inside a taxidermy squirrel, too.
Oh, that one.
But it's a very high ABV.
The snake bite one has a dead snake in it, I think. Isn't that? No. That's a different one. Never mind. I was just thinking you were always killing animals.
The weirdest beer I've ever heard of had like catnip in it. And I'm like, I'm not giving my cats beer. They don't like cat.
That's weird. I had a beer at GABF a couple years ago that was brewed with weed.
That's the Great American Beer Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think that is it. Well, I don't know if it's always in Denver, but I know.
Yes, it is. It's always it's a Denver one. It's always in Denver. It's one of the.
Are there any laws in Denver? I feel like Denver is beyond laws of this.
Denver does have laws, but if you drive 2 hours north to where we are, we don't. And I learned recently that you can fish with dynamite as long as you have an explosion permit. Legally.
Is that the cutoff signal?
I think that. Oh, no, you're fine.
Sorry, no. Aaron was just trying to tell me what the episode number was, and I was like, I said episode 37. I remember.
I do want to ask. So I haven't really gotten into the history too much with you personally, but with Shea, I believe you have sung at the Vatican. Is that correct?
I did actually. When I originally came to college, I went to high school in Fort Collins. I actually grew up back east, and I came to college up here on a opera scholarship. And my first summer,
I don't know why
after my first year of college, I got invited to go sing for the Pope in the Vatican, and I spent a month bopping around, Italy and Austria and all that sort of fun stuff, just being awesome, I guess.
So if you've heard sightings of the Yeti throughout Europe, you know why.
Yeah, I can tell you those exact years.
Because that's the running joke. He's the Yeti.
But as someone who's classically trained, do you like scoff when it's time for karaoke, or are you like the star?
Oh,
Can you do Queen? Because Queen could be dangerous for civilians.
Years ago, I could do Queen. Actually, when I left the music department, I did not leave on what I would consider good terms. I came to the realization that you didn't need a degree to do opera, and I made that I was very vocal about that, and my teachers didn't like that.
You don't need a degree. So that was how vocal he was.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very vocal about it. So I left with a lot of anger towards me, and actually since then I have not really participated in any music, which brings my family and my wife great shame.
Oh, no.
Oh, definitely my family, because my mother, are you going to sing at karaoke? No. Do you know how much money I spent on singing lessons and music lessons? Are you sure you're not going to? Yeah. Well, it is what it is.
Because if anything, Shania Twain would stand up here and tell everyone how she's a woman if we had spent that much money on her.
I guess so. Back when I was properly, which I don't know, anyone can sing was also my theory. They didn't like that either. They thought you had to be born with talent. I was like, no, you just need to spend time. But I was a countertenor, so I could do the falsetto of Queen and then sing nice and low, like, I don't know, Shaq? Probably has a low voice, right?
Oh, that is low.
I do want to point out, if this is riveting any of their current listeners, we don't really talk a whole lot about music on the show.
Unless Shelly's on, and then I get to put my hat on.
Shelley Siegel. Yeah.
Shelley Siegel. I get to put my hat on and show everyone how smart my music knowledge is. Because
had her on a few times.
They'll just think I'm a drunk idiot.
And Shea also did a quiz on seagulls when Shelley Siegel showed up.
Well, she needed to know,
I learned more about seagulls than I ever knew.
Shelley Siegel sells seashells by the seashore.
Same. Yeah. I just feel like I should let her
like a lot of beer, so I'm impressed.
Oh, I can Peter Piper pick.
I feel like there's some skill here, but Jen, you're like actually either from Georgia or you lived in Georgia, and I'm currently in Georgia. How did you escape? I just want to know.
Yes,
asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. No, I was born in Georgia, and I lived there full stop until my 20s. Let's see. I went to college in Georgia too, so 2021, 22, 20, whatever.
It's like 2 years ago.
Yes, exactly. No, that was perfect. But how I got out is I started while I was in college, taking every opportunity to travel. And, that was also how I learned that, man, where I'm from is stupid. It's really stupid. So it was kind of a whole big conglomerate of going to college, reading, getting educated, finding ways to travel. Man, the South sucks. And then that was kind of it. I graduated from college and I lived in Tennessee briefly, but I had spent my summers when I could in national parks in the West. And I realized that the South's hot and full of bigots. So, yuck.
So bigots. So you just put a big old cross on the map?
Oh, bigots in the summer, yuck. So I ended up leaving from Tennessee and moved. I lived in Texas briefly too, and that's also awful. And just moved out to the West and was a mountain chick throughout my 20s and loved it. And it wasn't until I got married and moved to Laramie. Getting married helped. I don't know if that would, I know you're already married, Zach, but maybe you can get her to leave and take you with her.
Okay, I thought you were just going to stop at leave. I was
Or
like,
some
whoa.
commune in Wyoming. I don't know. Wyoming doesn't sound too bad.
I didn't mean you had to come here, but yeah, it's great. So my husband's actually from Laramie originally, and we came here and visited a few times when we were living in Montana, and it worked out. And then I found these guys, and now I'm trapped.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we have to figure out, because when I did the first episode, I was 3 days away from the first ReasonCon. And the second ReasonCon, we actually hung out and drank beers together.
Yes.
We did.
Although it was way too short, which is the case with pretty much everybody at ReasonCon, the last one. And now there isn't going to be another ReasonCon. What
We're very
are we
sad.
going to do? Where are we going to meet? I kept asking for like a year, like, well, until we wait to ReasonCon, where do we go? And now it's like, oh, crap, where do we go?
Yeah,
St.
There's
Louis.
NanoCon in Nashville. There's a what is
Well,
the
we realized there's a big open niche. There's no Midwest con of any sort.
Not this directly podcast related.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the one in Missouri? I'll post that in the show notes once I.
Well,
figure
there
it
is
out.
a Missouri one, but yeah, we're not Midwest, Shea. We're more Rocky Mountain West.
Okay, Rocky
So,
Mountain West.
there's
would be the-
I mean,
probably-
you somehow made it to freaking Hickory, North Carolina.
Which
I feel like
we
you can go
were-
almost anywhere.
that was all because of our amazing donors and patrons. I mean, we were just as surprised as everyone else that we made it.
Right.
It was incredible.
God made airplanes for a reason. So
That's what I hear.
And our
Yeah.
prayers were finally answered.
that was fun. We had a great time. It was great to hang out with you, and we were all very bummed about it. So now it's like, oh, okay, what's next?
I liked putting faces with voices. I think that was my favorite. And actually hearing the voice come out of their face.
Right, because that's where the voices come from usually.
Zach doesn't have that problem because he records
Right.
like video on his podcast. But for some of the other people we listen to, I was like, I did not expect that voice to come out of that person.
I did enjoy the fact that I was stopped a few times, like, you're Jen. I know your laugh, or I know your voice, or your shrill, shrieking harpiness.
I had a lot of fans knock on the door offering me things like breath mints and Pepto-Bismol so I could stop just vomiting everywhere. And Steve and I were working on a good regimen so I could keep sober at sea level. We've been working on it for a year. I was really sad that
Do
there was
we
no
really
reason
need to
to
go down this road, Shay?
Wow, the times we had, the good times we had. Now, I did.
Cognis, unless we talk about it then.
I did mention before if the two of you had jokes to tell, because that seems to be what at least one person in my audience wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after all this time, after recording for like 3 hours before me, and then,
Well, I brought
luck.
my joke with me. He's visual.
Oh, I'm a visual joke.
Oh, I like
Does
that.
that count? Okay, good. All right. I thought that was going to be like, no. But you have a million
Well-
dad jokes.
Well,
so-
I don't really have a joke so much as I can tell you something I learned this week.
There you go.
Okay, well,
Okay.
this week I learned that the first socially acceptable gender-neutral bathroom was the public pools.
Welcome
I
to our show.
didn't say it was good.
The worse the better, as far as I'm concerned.
My jokes come on the spur of the moment. I don't like being put under pressure.
Oh, and I just say stupid shit that
Yes.
people laugh at.
Those are kind of our roles on the show. We've got Old Man Steve, we got the two of us and what we just talked about, and then Aaron's technical and our leader, and
Fearless leader.
fearlessly funny occasionally, and usually not as funny, but fearless.
He tries though.
He's fearless with his punish.
He got a really good joke like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he does. He usually gets in like the one amazing joke and then just coasts.
Yeah. Yeah. But we all have our thing, our niche.
So is there anything that I didn't cover that you want to talk about tonight?
Well,
Is there any beer left in your glasses? That's the important one.
Ooh, a little bit.
Not much. Let's get there. No, I feel like we've kind of given them an idea of who we are.
Yeah, actually, did we talk about one of our fans' favorite segments in our show? Actually, something we do is our Faith and Humanity Restored segment.
That's true. I think I kind of got
I think we got
sidetracked when I was
derailed.
going through it. Yeah.
But actually, we like to end our show on a high note, no matter what that is. So we scour the internet every every week to find a story to bring you up from all the stupid shit we just told you, or the horrible shit, or just the shit.
Or just what being in Trump's America is like.
Yeah, in fact, today our Faith in Humanity Restored was about a sister who called what she thought was a healthcare professional to go help her brother to the hospital, and turned out to be Jimmy Johns, who then went and took this individual to the hospital because they're freaky fast and freaky amazing.
Right. So it's things like that. We try to end it on a higher note.
There's still hope, and the breweries in America are still amazing. So we have that going for us.
Oh, and
Yes.
also one other thing, we don't talk about Trump.
No.
We feel like he's every fucking where and always fucking awful. So everyone knows that.
In fact,
So-
if you even mention his name, Steve will give you a dirty look that, or throw a bottle cap at my
We've
face.
gone through probably 700 million different names for him. But my
Yes.
favorite is Scrotus.
The Scrotus.
Is there a #1 brewery in Wyoming that you go to,
Oh, that we go to.
or that you want to go to? I mean,
I've been to all of them.
Jen is the one that she's our scout. I would love to go to Melvin, which is relatively new, like in the last 3-4 years.
It's not new. It's just actually started being able to bottle and distribute.
Oh, okay.
ooh,
But they are actually up near Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is
They're in Jackson. Wow.
They're a good 6 hours away, 7 hours away from here.
It feels like 17.
Yeah,
but
it's way the fuck in the corner of the state.
But yeah, Jackson's got a few good breweries. My favorite one's also in Jackson, Snake Hole River. Snake River Brewing.
You
Good
just like
Lord.
holes.
I was,
Oh.
our patron story tonight.
yeah, don't give that
Yeah,
away for free.
patron. Like, yeah, no
Yeah.
way. But here in town, I mean, we've got several good ones here in town, and we usually meet up with them.
we drink. Most Friday nights you can find us probably at Altitude Brewery, which we're all Mug Club members, which means you get a 20-ounce beer for the price of a 12.
But Snake River is probably the one that you will see distributed throughout the country the most.
Oh yeah,
And
Snake River is just about everywhere.
It's really good. Like the brewery's great, their food's great, good atmosphere. Unfortunately, Jackson just gets more attention than a lot of places in the state. So
Mhm. Jackson is also like where the multi-million billionaires live.
I'm sure
Hmm.
because Kanye was there for his album
Oh my god, are you serious?
Mhm.
Gross.
just a few months ago. Yeah.
Well, to get you to Atlanta and do a little beer tour, that would be difficult because I think we have like 45 breweries around here. It's crazy.
That's not called difficult. That's called fun.
Hey,
That's
when
called,
I lived in
that's called
when
a
I lived in-
challenge.
when I lived in Chattanooga, I went to a lot of the breweries in Atlanta. So it's
Yeah,
that
not
far
bad.
away.
Yep, and we'll often go down to Fort Collins, which
I think
has
Sweet Malt Water is my favorite in Atlanta.
more than I can think. Yeah.
Sweetwater's not bad. So, how can people find your show and you online?
All right, well, it's Waiting for Wrath, and it can be the number 4, which is easier to type, but it can also be FOR, and we're waitingforwrath.com. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com, Waiting for Wrath. Then that's it, / that's it. And
That's it.
if this has been so exciting, you're like, oh my God, I have to just pay them money. We're also on patreon.com, / waiting for
W4W.
W4W. That's right.
It's the only one I remember.
And also, if you have enjoyed this and want to just call and leave us a random drunk dial, which is one of our favorite things that we do on the show.
Yeah, we haven't gotten many of them in recent light, but we have a voicemail that you can call and get drunk and leave us voicemail.
Well, we've had a lot of voicemails. They just haven't been drunk.
That's true. We've had a
Oh.
couple. Yeah.
We call it the drunk dial line at 513-760-0463. And we're also on iTunes, not Spotify. We're on Stitcher. And most podcast formats. So
Yeah, you can just, because of our Aaron and Steve are both tech gurus, and their SEO, their search engine optimization talents really are amazing. I think you can just type in W in Google and will be one of the first hits. W4W will definitely get you there though.
yeah, and I've really enjoyed the interaction from the folks that have been messaging in. So thank you, especially Jean.
Yeah.
God.
Sometimes the guests
my favorite.
don't see the chat room, so we're like, "Oh, can they see what we're saying about them?" Yeah, this time they can.
Oh.
So.
And it was really nice. And it's okay if you say mean things because we're ridiculous. But
Oh yeah. Please
But
say mean
yeah.
things. That
But
way I
yeah,
know you're listening.
If you're good
In a
at
good
being
way.
drunk, you should call us 513-760-0463.
Get drunk. I've left drunk dial messages before.
Well,
My husband has.
Yeah.
Zach, it's been a lot of fun.
thank you, Jen and Shea, for being on. I don't know why it took so long, but who cares? You're on. It was great. Good
Life.
times. We'll have to figure out a way to meet in person because I feel like it'll be epic.
Yeah, I think, we're not too far in the scheme of things. What if we meet in the middle? We'll be
St.
in
Louis. That was the gateway to the West.
Ooh, the arch.
Kansas City or St. Louis, I feel like might be the one. I feel like the Boulevard in Kansas City. That's the one I know. It's pretty
Yes.
good.
Oh, and they're pretty good too.
Yep. Been there a few times.
Wherever you are, you will find good beer. So thank you, Jen and Shea, for being on. It's been great.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you so much, Zach. It
Thanks,
was great
Zach.
talking with you, and we'll catch you guys later.
He's Shea, I'm Jen. Bye.
I could be Jen.
Nope.
I'm Jen.
Nope.
Do what I want.
Please hang up.
You just don't want me to talk anymore.
Keep talking. It's fine.
I can just keep going.
Jesus H.
All
Talk
right.
about your beautiful face. That's beautiful.